All right. Scott Peterson, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
This is a
I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty fun.
this is a big deal. Now, before we even get started, I want to get this out of the way in terms of interstates because I try to describe
Yep.
what you all do, and I think I run into the same problem that people run into when they try to describe what we do. You guys do a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
So tell us just interstates for those that don't know what is interstates and what do you all do?
What we do is we focus on industrial clients in the industrial space. So we do electrical construction, engineering, automation, and operational technology. That's kind of our niche. And we work out throughout the whole United States, and we work for small companies to large mega companies. We have about 1,100 employees, and we have about 13 different offices throughout the country, mainly in the Midwest in the breadbasket. And so we've been around for about 70 plus years, and we have a very strong reputation in our space, and that's due to our people and the way they take care of our clients.
Yeah, we happen to know this firsthand because we work with you all. But one of the things that's in, by the way, you explain that much better than I do, so I'll log that. I'll log that. But one of the things that's just really prominent about you all, and you pointed out, is that it's about your people, and we hear that from everyone. No one, everyone says that.
Yes.
But in terms of when you follow the trail of investment, when you follow the trail of time and energy and effort that is put in to create that as a reality, I have rarely seen it in the way that you all do it at Interstates. And that is not always the easiest in terms of organizationally. It's not always the easiest in terms of business, or at least it doesn't appear that way sometimes, because you're spending money on stuff that other people are spending money on. You're spending time on other stuff that people are spending time on.
Yep.
What would drive someone to try to build that type of culture and even more importantly, maintain it?
Well, we've had a long tradition of always investing in our people. Way back, even in the 70s and 80s, we did a lot of training on for our field people, making sure that they knew what safety was and knew how to do their job and was on top of it from a code standpoint. So when there was hardly any training going on, we were already doing it. Now there's probably two reasons why we do it. We really want to be an enduring company that we can pass along our culture and the company to the next generation. It's kind of our responsibility. And the best way to do that is to invest in people. It's that way they can do their best job ever, and they can grow and can continually give them opportunities. And several years ago, we came across the Simon Sinek video from what your why. Yep. So we did that back in 12, and we have our vision and our values, but we kind of thought the whys were missing, and it was a longer process. We dove deep, and it came out to be why we exist. We believe in providing opportunities for our people, making a difference with our clients and our communities, and also making sure that we're pursuing a better way at all times.
Yeah. Now, do you get that from have come from that, or having come from the absence of that? There's usually the two ways that people get there.
No, I think it's always been there.
Okay.
We've always wanted to. I mean, some of our leadership training asks people to come up with their personal mission or their why statement, mainly because we feel they'll be more productive, happier, and they'll more fulfilled if they understand themselves. So focusing on self-awareness, focusing on how to be a better themselves. I mean, it's almost like one of your slogans is a better you makes a better world. There's a lot there from that side of it. So we have so much talent, and we're just trying to help people understand their talent and try to position it where their sweet spot is so they can make the biggest difference they can.
Absolutely. So in our time working with the organization, one of the things that, again, just blows our minds sometimes is that, you are bringing in folks from all over the country for a week to train them. Like, I mean, it's bonkers. Because again, we're we work with a lot of organizations, and again, one of the things that we point out to people that is just the biggest misconception about what we do is that we work with people that have bad cultures, where it's really more the opposite. Like people with bad cultures don't call us, and so all the people we work with are doing amazing things in that space. But again, that level of investment is just a little bit different than what we see in other places, and it can be really inconvenient. I mean, you're taking people out of the field, out of the office, out of whatever for a week in some cases. Like, strategically, how does that even happen? How do you make something like that happen? Because at some point, someone has to say, man, this is costing us all of this type of stuff. How does that work? Give us the behind the scenes on that.
Oh, there's so many people that are working on it just to make sure we're adding as much value as we can. The like for the field people, for the field leaders, we're in the process of bringing them in for the next several weeks, bringing in some of the leaders. With COVID, we're doing it in little smaller groups and stuff, but we just had them in last week, and this past week, and we were talking to them. So they're one of the best characteristics of them is that they're brutally honest. So if we're not bringing value, if we're not helping them, if we're not making a difference, and if we're not listening to them, they'll tell us about it. So that pressure, that tension is really good because it forces us to be very proactive and very thoughtful about what do they need to be successful? How can we help them be in a position to be successful? And like right now, we're always working on our safety. We're figuring out how they can develop more of their field leaders when they're back on the job sites. Because it's a continual process. You don't train once a year and think you're done with training, whether it's technical or leadership. It's that's the 10% that you get the knowledge, and then you got to go back and make it happen. And when you're on the job sites and you're hearing people talk about, hey, keep your eyes open, keep learning from each other, keep growing, keep pushing each other to get better. So it's just it's all over throughout our whole culture of how can I learn, how can I get better, and that's pursuing the better way. And we want people to grow. And one of the things we tell our people is someone invested in you, and you're successful because of that. You have a responsibility to invest in someone else to give them that opportunity. And if you don't like delegating, if you don't like investing in people, just picture what you're doing right now and picture doing that for the next 20 years because you're not going anywhere.
Hello.
And so part of it, it's part of the process, and you got to be all in on it. Otherwise, it's going to stop at you. And it's your job to make sure it continues on and gets better. You just can't pass it along. You got to make it better as you pass it along.
See, that's a big one, and that goes into the idea of building leadership and really investing in that and what that can do because it's a multiplier effect. In order to do that. So you're walking around with leaders, and we come from the school of John C. Maxwell, where leadership is influence. And so if you can influence somebody, you can lead them, and everyone can. So everyone has to be a leader in some way. And obviously, you lead a very dynamic organization that has many, many elements to it. So I'm really interested to know, how would you describe yourself as a leader? Because you have to be fairly dynamic to run a dynamic organization, especially trying to produce leaders and value for your folks. How would you describe yourself as a leader, and what's your personal strategy to how you address it?
Well, it's probably self-awareness. So there's two things you have to worry about as a leader: your weaknesses, but more importantly, your strengths. When you take your strengths too far, you create blind spots, and that's what really can derail you. So having a strong group of a leadership team is really important. Making sure that they're doing their jobs, they're speaking into your lives, they're giving you feedback, they're holding you accountable. You're as strong as your team around you. So if you want to be the best in the room, the old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So part of it is having great people around you is the key, because then they'll raise your performance, they'll raise what you expect from yourself, and then you can do the same for them. So it really, it's just an upward spiral where you're lifting each other up, and how you help them out, how you support them, and how they support you and help you. Because the worst thing a leader can do is never ask for help and think you have it all solved. You have to be vulnerable in order to be a good leader and say, I don't know how to do that. Can you help me with this? And then that reciprocates.
To that point, how do you deal with failure, right? Because one of the things we give people I'll use myself personally. I do a lot of different things. I do music, I do community stuff, I do that. And by virtue of the fact that I do a lot of stuff, there's always something, always 100% of the time that's not going the way I want it. 100% of the time. And for some people, that's enough to shut them down and keep them from moving. So what is your process when it comes to failure? Because doing as many things you're doing, there's always going to be something that's not working the way you want it to.
Yeah, there's probably a couple things. Well, I was just reading a book last week, and they framed it really well, and it kind of captures what we try to do at Interstates is that when problems happen, when failure happens, that's really an opportunity because then people get to see the real you.
Yeah.
It's easy to look good when everything's going good, but what are you going to do when there's a mistake? And the way they framed it is, what's the next chapter?
Yeah.
So here's the mistake. How are you going to recover from it? Are you going to try to hide from it? Are you going to own it? Are you going to try to make it better? Are you going to work the problem? Are you going to learn from it? All the next chapter is really defines a lot of your character and your culture. Because if you're a lot of ducking and chucking, blaming, and that's gonna be everywhere, and then you're teaching people how to do that instead of teaching people and modeling how to handle mistakes well. And don't do that all the time. I mean, when you have a mistake and you handle it poorly, first thing you got to do is say, "I'm sorry, my bad."
Yeah, acknowledge it. I coach youth football, and one of the things we tell our kids is, "So what? Now what?" And not even so what in a dismissive way, like what happened didn't matter, but so what, and so what can we do about it? And then it's now what do we do about it, right? Because how you recover, especially when we talk about things like customer service, which is something I'm passionate about. Your best customer service experience will almost never come from a situation where everything went right.
Right.
The best customer service experience came when something went wrong and you saw how someone addressed it. That's the great opportunity to show people. So it's right to your point of sometimes you need those situations. I always say, trust and honor, integrity, and those type of things. It's like a parachute. Everybody wants one. Nobody wants to use it.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to actually deploy that stuff,
Yeah. Some of the best stories that we've had, or one of the coolest ones for me to hear is once in a while we'll have a client tell our people after we've been honest with them saying, "Hey, we're behind schedule," or, we got to recover from this. And I was just talking to someone last week and they said, they looked at me and said, "Wow, honesty, that's weird."
Right.
Instead of saying, "Hey, I can't win right now, so I'm going to pretend we're not behind. We're going to pretend it's not out there." So you earn a lot of credibility when you're upfront about it.
Yes.
And when our people are talking about that, that's pretty cool. Then when you hear from our clients is saying, "Hey, we got through the fire. We trust you because we know what it's like to go through the battle together." It's a great way to build relationships. It's not a one that I would recommend because the mistakes always happen, so you don't have to go looking for them, but you got to be prepared for them.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do when they happen?
Let's talk about the team a little bit because you mentioned that. I'm a big, big fan of your team. And let's talk about them a little bit because there's certain things that you do differently as well in this space. You all moved to a model that made you more agile and lose, which is for an organization that does all of what you do. Sometimes it's good just to have process and orders, to get people there. You guys became more flexible. You became more nimble. And you're one of the first organizations, particularly of your size, to really hire people for people. Human resources hasn't been human for a long time. And you guys put a special focus on the people and putting a human in charge of that. Tell me about the squad.
All right. Well, probably a number of years ago, we kind of looked at how we were structured. We were very traditional, had business units. And one of the things that noticed is that it was hard to get change done. And it was hard at times to take care of our clients. Some of the hardest feedback we ever got is you don't feel like one company.
Yeah.
You feel like three companies that are kind of working together because everything started here and then it had to go up and then to reconcile and then come back down. And that's just slow.
Yeah.
And so we're on, the economy was on a 10-year run or something like that. And we knew disruption was coming.
Mm.
And we knew we had to get better. We knew there's a lot of people are going to come and be better than you are. They're going to be faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be cheaper. They're going to do different things. And we knew we could be successful, but didn't know if we could be successful for the next 15, 20, 50 years. So how could we be more agile and more
Mm-hmm.
resilient? So we had resilience in small teams and then as individuals, but not as a company.
Mm.
So what we did is we wasn't intentional in the beginning, but as we got into it and learned more about being an agile organization, we said this is what we have to do.
Mm.
So we basically totally flattened the organization. So we went through a change called One Interstates. So we function as one team, One Interstates. We put our clients first and our employees first. So those
Mm-hmm.
were the two things. How can we support our clients and how can we empower our people?
Yes.
And those were the primary things. And if whatever decisions supported that, we did it. And if it didn't, then we try to revamp it. So it was hard. We had to break a lot of mental models and paradigms and train different people on different things. But it's been fun. I was talking to a programmer just about 3 weeks ago, and he said one of the best things that came out of the change is I get to interact with electricians. I get to
Mm-hmm.
interact with engineers,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to learn from them. So I get to see the whole picture, and I get to teach them. I can help them be
Yeah.
better engineers and better electricians because we have to work together instead of just doing my job and going on.
Mm-hmm.
I do my job, but I got my eyes open, so I'm seeing work that needs to happen. I can see how I can support each other, and he just enjoyed hanging out with him and learning from him and building those relationships. And he said that never happened in the past.
So one of the sessions that we actually do with some of your teams is change management, right? And specifically getting people sharper with the idea of change management, right? And our biggest thing with that is change has to be an environment versus an event. And in some instances, change is an event for people. It's happening to them versus being an environment where you're always growing, you're always changing. And that's why I think a development culture is so big. How has that paid dividends, if any, during something like a pandemic that came in a way that nobody could truly anticipate?
Um, so we were on a plan for about an 18-month change process for this becoming an agile organization, and about 5 months into it, we hit the pandemic. So it expedited a lot of things, a lot of learning. It showed light on some things that weren't working. One of the things we did is saying, all right, let's reflect on the back on how we're going to handle a recession or something like that, because that's a lot of that. So what we said, what were the key things? One is awareness of what's going on. What are the changes, mainly from the government? I mean, we've never had shutdowns before.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's common practice, but I still remember where I was when I heard the first shutdown that happened in California. It was like at 10:30 at night. And I thought, oh no, this is going to change. This is a game changer. So we formed a team. So part of Agile is you form teams, you scale teams, and you disperse teams as necessary. So we formed a team that said our job is to get interstates through this pandemic, and we have to get certain information out there. So we created a lot of sub teams that were important in charge of getting information or understanding safety or understanding our clients or how to adapt there. And that team, we formed it within probably within like 4 to 5 days, and that team was up and running within a week. And we had those sub teams formed with a couple days after that, and we had a game plan and started communicating with our employees within that first week of that team. We were still figuring out. We went in with very transparent, and that was one of our goals, is that we want to be calm, confident, and transparent with our employees and with our clients. So from that side of it, that being agile said, let's not worry about our structure. Let's form a team to take care of the problem.
Right.
And that freedom allowed us to react quickly and I believe well, and made sure that we were being as proactive and dealt with all the changes that as best we could.
And another great thing from our perspective is that we were able to see how you guys deployed, especially when it was happening, and it was so fast. Not necessarily fast just in time, but in terms of the organization that you have, in terms of the things that you had to do, and you guys were pivoting so quick, and it was, you know, again, you hear people talk about the stuff all the time. It's just a different thing when you get to see people do the stuff, and it's not weird. People got in the room and they start thinking about stuff.
Yeah, hopefully as time goes on, we will look at disruption and say, "Cool, let's go
Here's our
after it."
chance. Here we
Yeah,
go.
that's our opportunity. And at times we do that. At times we don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's still we're still learning and
Yeah.
growing into it. But whenever there's a disruption, there's always winners and losers. So what are you going to do? Are you going to wait and see what happens and let it happen to you, or are you going to try to lean into it and get and try to be successful, be
big.
a difference maker? And one cool thing about Agile is it lets the people closest to it figure that out.
Which I love. I'm so into that because we always talk about, you know, people's team being appendages, right? It's kind of like when you're walking at night and one of your kids' toys might be out, you go to step on it and your foot lifts up before it steps all the way on it because it sends the signals back to the
Yep.
brain really fast. And when you have a great relationship with your appendages, with the people who are touching the thing, right? If their response time is quick, you're able to act before you truly hurt yourself
Yep.
because there's a clear path back to your brain. And I love the idea of people, again, who are touching it being a part of that process. All that said, here's the thing, though, because I want people to really understand the enormity of what it takes to be able to be agile with a cruise liner. You know what I mean? With like this big machine. Where does that come from in terms of how you approach it? And what I mean by that is what qualifies you to head this ship? And I don't mean education. I don't mean position. I mean experiences. What experiences qualifies you to head this ship? What things have you gone through or that you can lean on that prepared you for this moment?
Well, I think anybody there's lots of different people that could be in my role. There's lots of people that are probably qualified.
I
to
doubt
do
that a little bit, but whatever.
But you know, I think for like most people, you always wonder if you are qualified.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is I have the assumption that I have to earn it every day and do the best I can. And at times I'm
Yes.
going to do well. So I think a lot of it is, from a leadership standpoint, is self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and figuring out how to leverage people in a lot of different ways, which means how can you help them and how can they help you?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not the smartest guy at Interstates. That's by far. Just talk to some of the programmers and engineers. I'm sure they're way smarter than me on a lot of that stuff. I think it's having connections with people too. Luckily, we have our senior team and our executive team have been together for a long time, and there's a lot of trust and confidence in each other, and it's fun to work with them.
Yeah.
And very fortunate and blessed to be at Interstates. Been there for 25 years, and I can't imagine being anywhere else during that time. So as the company's grown up, I've grown up too, and been in a lot of different areas of the company, and the nice thing about Interstates is if you see an opportunity where you can learn more and make a difference for the company and take care of a client or team, we let people do that.
Yeah.
So I got into I at times I led different things, at times I helped different things, but whenever there was a situation there, either I was maybe primary or secondary or sometimes just a team member trying to help it out. And I think that that's a lot of us at Interstate ends up doing those type of things, is that you focus on the real work, and if things come in your way and you get blessed, that's awesome. But our job is to make sure that we take care of our clients, we empower our people, we're keeping the culture, we're making sure Interstates is getting stronger every day. If you do that, good things are going to happen to you personally, and you don't worry about the personal side as much.
There are two things that you said there for me that are really, really powerful, and I think the people who are watching are going to get a whole lot of benefit from. Number one is hearing somebody that is in your position that does what it is that you do, understanding that you have a relationship with that thing that so many people do, which is that imposter syndrome. Sometimes when you're doing something really big, it's like, am I supposed to be in this chair? Am I supposed to be in this seat? And that's why I say, for me, it's less about the accolades and more about the experiences, because I find that when people are in those positions and they're able to manage that, is because they've been through things. And eventually you just start to have a belief about your ability to work through things versus thinking about things. And I find that to be a consistent trait of everybody that I know that is at leadership. For me, as a multiple time dropout, because it just ended up not being my thing. My ability to work past hiccups or problems or issues or whatever is what it is. It's not that I'm smarter than anybody. It's not that I'm whatever anybody. Is that like I'll be here tomorrow. And the second thing that you said that's really powerful for me is people who want to grow in their organizations is be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be helpful. Like, if you ask me who I want at my side, it's the person who's going to help me. If you're just there to get a check or do your job,
Yeah.
that's one thing. That's an exchange. That's transactional. But when you're here to help, it doesn't mean that it's positional. It means that you need help with that, I can help you. You need help with that, I can help you. Those are the people who end up leading organizations because those are the people that people want to be around.
Yep.
That's an awesome point.
No, and I think that's your first point. I think that's we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
And some of the things we've been working on the last number of years, and luckily we had a strong culture going into this big change, strong culture going into the pandemic, and we've been working on vulnerability and psychological safety, psych safety. And psych safety is just being able to express your ideas and thoughts and pushback without fear of ramification. So that is huge when you're dealing with any kind of problem or change, because everybody's wondering, am I going to get blamed? Am I going to get in trouble? Or are they saying, how can I make a difference? So, and we've been working on the psych safety thing for probably 5-6 years now. And I was on a job site 2 weeks ago, and the electricians and the foremen were talking about psych safety. Hey, what is that? And we had newer ones and then experienced people, and they were saying, well, this means that it's okay to make a mistake. What are you going to do about it? Don't lie. Don't hide your mistakes. Tell me early so we can fix it. The earlier a problem gets addressed, the smaller it is. The longer it goes, the bigger it gets. And when you hear people talking about that, then that's pretty powerful.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And, most of the time when the supervisor shows up, you try to look good.
Yeah.
And instead of just being yourself. And I'm sure there's always some of that going on.
For sure.
But it's just nice to have the real talk going on, being authentic and not trying to pretend. But, I think everybody has a lot of insecurities, but how you deal with the insecurities is crucial.
Well, we talk about changing the idea of thinking about time. Everybody thinks about their ability to do something in the context of time. Do I have time to do it? Do I have time to make this phone call? Do I have time to read this book? Do I have time to read this whatever? We want to expand the definition of capacity. It is more than just time. It is, sometimes I got time to do something, but I don't have the mental capacity to do it. Sometimes I got time to do something, but I don't have the emotional capacity to do it. Sometimes I got time to do something, but I don't have the competency to do something. And so for us, capacity is time, emotional and physical well-being, and it's capacity. If you have those things, that makes up your capacity. And I think it's so important when you talk about somebody being available for something, does that person have the capacity? So hearing organizations like yours talking about psychological safety and really thinking about what's the environment that you're creating for people to be able to express themselves in, or be themselves, or be honest and transparent and all those other type of things, does the benefit of increasing everyone's capacity. And so when that person doesn't have to worry about being tense when you're around, or they don't have to spend energy suppressing how they feel, or, just doing so much editing, it leaves them with capacity to be more effective at their job. It leaves them with the mental capacity to be more focused on safety. It leaves them with the emotional capacity to be able to go home and be available to their families. Like thinking about it in that capacity, I think is just so vital, and it's the future. Anybody who just does not understand that is going to really, really struggle in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I think all of society has a big issue with almost being the martyr of being so busy. The more busy I am, the more important I am. I feel like if I'm not busy, I'm not doing all I should be doing. And we struggle with that in Interstates. I mean, I think everybody at times feels like they're too busy. And some of the times you try to coach them, understand what's going on, all that, and you try to help them understand that the best person to help them is them, and you got to make decisions on some and being upfront, saying sometimes you have to say no to helping people or no in
Hmm.
order to free up and do what you really need to do. But you have to know what your priorities are. You got to know what the urgency is of those things, and I think the whole employee is really important. We have a program for the whole employee, especially for our field, of helping them with understand their financials, to understanding their what they want from a goal standpoint. And the more they understand about
Mm.
where they are, because if you're really stressed financially, you're going to be stressed your whole at work,
Hmm.
even if that's not part of the deal. So helping them understand where they're at, how they can get better, and what they want to do. We don't necessarily do all that for them, but
Right.
we at least get it on the table for them.
Well, and they got, and we all have to do that part. We have to be responsible for our happiness. I mean, at the end of the day, we always talk about responsibility being control. If you give someone responsibility for your happiness, you give them control over your happiness. If you give somebody else control over your happiness, how happy can you expect to be? And we ask people to think about an organization. Imagine, or any environment. Imagine any community of people where either one, everybody believes it's everyone else's responsibility to make them happy, or everyone believes it's their responsibility to make themselves happy. What type of community do you want to live in? I mean, at the end of the day, we know what it looks like when it's everyone else's responsibility, because people are going to let you down because they don't know what makes you happy.
Right.
And so I think that's an important point. One thing I definitely want to get to before we get you out of here is also what you all do in the community, and your belief in developing folks and really giving back is something that's clear and present in what it is all that you do and your foundation that you all have. And I would just love to get into that piece of it, because obviously we're strongly motivated by that. And quite honestly, all of the organizations that we work with are strongly motivated by that. I don't think that's a coincidence. And so I would love to hear more about the foundation and kind of your perspective or your all philosophy on community engagement.
Well, we've had a foundation for about 20 years, and we're entering the next chapter of that foundation. So we're in the process right now of writing a vision future of
Mm.
where we think it's going to go and what kind of difference we can make. So the foundation is really about serving our communities, giving our employees the opportunity to really make a difference.
Yeah.
And so we give scholarships to our employees' kids at times every
Mhm.
year, and then we also have scholarships to the schools, community schools, the
Mm.
VOTEC, and also 4-year schools that we recruit from, just to
Mm.
make sure we have that relationship. And we also are launching a new program called Engage, and that Engage is about how to engage our employees with the community, to serve, to have service projects, to really help bring their passion forward to make a difference. And over the years, we've done lots of different things through we used to call it a service project program. Now it's Engage. And what we want to do is to take it to the next level and
Mm.
really have more opportunities for our people to really say, I'm passionate about this. I think we can make a difference. And for example, one of the years last year, for the first time, and in a pandemic, we launched a excellence in leadership program for not-for-profits. So we had 2 or 3 day session. It will spread out over about 6 or 8 weeks. I can't remember, but we had employees teach leadership skills to not-for-profit organizations so they could lead theirs better. And we did it for free, and we gave them all a scholarship to come. So we paid them to come and get educated. And so the best part was that they were the best part was our employees were excited about it, and
Mm.
they were all in, and they got opportunity to teach about leadership that what they were passionate about, and give them an opportunity to do it where they might not have been able. So they become better leaders by teaching,
Yeah.
and then they're giving it to they're helping the organizations that's important to them get better. So it really raises the water, raises the boat for everyone, is that we get better, we get more passionate, we are inspired, and we help the not-for-profit community get stronger too with better leadership. And that's just one example. We have several different ones, but the ideas come from the employees, and
Yeah.
the ideas come from their passion, and that's what it's all about. So we really just try to enable them and foster that, and figure out how to create a way for us to partner with each other to serve.
Yeah. And I think there's an important thing about strategic altruism. You know, when we talk about our nonprofits and things of that nature, you know, sometimes we have to be able to support them in ways that they can't go out into the private sector and just be able to you know to purchase. And a lot of times we end up giving the least of us the least of us,
Yep.
and we rarely take care of the people who are taking care of the people. And so that excites me because again, it's teach a person how to fish type of situation, giving them skills to run their organizations better, which is going to do so much more than just cutting a check and putting your name on something, right? You're giving them real, honest skill set that's allowing them to be better, and that's such a big thing. And then again, I'm so passionate about the idea that you let your employees drive it. You know, your board, right?
Yeah, yeah. The board member is created from 6 employees and myself,
Yeah,
and we make all the decisions, and at times they defer to me, but not very often. They don't listen to me that
yeah.
much. But,
Well, I mean,
but
it's a good arena though
yeah,
for them to.
I mean, when we're on the board, just like everyone, it's one person, one vote, and we're
Yeah,
all equals on any team. We're always equals, and or we always try to be at least.
yeah,
And that's important because I'm hoping those the board members, past, current, and future, that helps them be able to be better board members when on for other not for profits,
yeah.
or as the better leaders to make better decisions, because those experiences help you grow.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, the thing that I love most about Interstates is that more than you put your money where your mouth is, you put your investment where your mouth is. And because it's much more than just money. It's about the energy and effort that you put into it, is the commitment to it, it is the consistency of it, it is all of those things that really makes an environment special, that allows it to be something different. And the thing that I'm so excited about having a conversation with all of the folks that are running these wonderful organizations is that you can feel a genuine culture shift in terms of how we're thinking about people. And it's not one of those things where you're just cogs in the wheel and you come to bang a widget into a what's it, and then you go home with nothing left. And it takes courageous leadership. It takes intelligent leadership with great skills at putting people in the right places and working with folks to be able to create that type of environment. And so I want to tell you that I really appreciate what you all do, and you guys do a great job of being leaders in the industry.
Well, thanks. I mean, at times I don't know how courageous it is, because we invest where our heart is,
Mhm.
and our employees are the Interstates family, and they're the heart and soul of Interstates. So, and we really care about each other, and we love each other, and we try to keep each other safe, and we support each other, and that makes those kind of decisions a lot easier.
Yeah. It's so good when I know it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's so much better when I know it's the truth. I thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. There's a lot of young leaders out there that benefit from hearing from folks like you, and I'm so glad that we're able to bring it to us. And thank you again for being able to join us.
You bet. I enjoyed it too, and you never know, maybe we can do it again.
Absolutely. Remember all, make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure that you get this material as soon as it drops. And as always, you can follow us at Think3D Solutions on all of the socials, or let'sthink3d.com. Until next time.